Hello, everybody, and welcome into this week's 30 Minutes program. This is Paul Tinkle, and I'm pleased to have what I think is one of the most talented young men that I have spoken to in the last 35-plus years, and it's Mike Tucker. He is the band director of Westview High School, and that's his first time to be on the radio here with us. And first off, Mike, I got to tell you how proud I am of the work that you have done in being the band director at Westview High School for so many years.
Well, Paul, thank you for that good compliment. Thank you for having me here today.
Tell me how you got into band. Was it high school? Was it grade school? Where did your love for band come up?
My older brother was in band, 7 years older than I, and he was heavily involved in band, and I decided that's what I wanted to do, to follow in his footsteps. I wanted to play trumpet just like he did, but unfortunately, because of teeth problems, I ended up playing drums, and started when I was in the 5th grade, and continued on from there.
What's it like playing band? I mean, sitting here, drumming the drums. I got to know about that with those sticks.
It's just like everything else you do in life. I mean, I started out real uncoordinated, not knowing anything, not knowing how to read music, and the more I worked with it, the better I got, and the more I enjoyed it.
Who taught you?
My first band director was a gentleman named Tommy Finkelstein, and from there I went to Joe Utsi, which coincidentally still teaches piano to students at Amro Music in Memphis, and Pete Crowder at Mississippi State University, and plus just watching other band directors, I've learned a lot of things through the years.
Where'd you go to college?
Went to Meridian Junior College for 1 year, and then attended Mississippi State University, where I graduated.
So were you taking a part of the band at Mississippi? Or
Yes.
So you were playing in the band.
Right.
And only drums?
Yes. That percussion was my major instrument in college. You have to have a major instrument, and that was my major instrument through college. But because of classes and extra classwork that I took, you have to learn how to play all the instruments.
Oh, my. What's the hardest?
Probably oboe and bassoon, which I'm not very good at all.
Do you have those instruments at Westview High School?
No, sir, we do not.
Because they're so...
First of all, they're quite expensive, and two, those are background instruments that you add once you get to a certain level of numbers and participation.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've been the band director here for how many years at Westview High School?
Starting my 34th year.
And you've told several people, maybe this is the first real opportunity for you to tell it, but you are going to retire at the end of this year?
This year is going to be the last go-around for me.
How many band contests would you say you have been to?
Probably in all the years that I've taught,
a couple of hundred?
More than that. More than that.
Okay, I won't hold you on how many.
I can't multiply that quick in my head.
So how did you get the job here at Westview High School? You were teaching somewhere else before, though, right?
Well, Westview High School's band director job came open, and at the same time, so did Gibson County's high school band. And I was offered both positions in the same day. I was teaching at Bolivar Central High School at the time, and for some strange reason, I accepted the position at Gibson County.
Was that their first year, 1980, 81, or?
That was in 1991, and in it just wasn't a good fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't a good fit. I still liked doing what I was doing, but I just didn't feel like it was the right place for me to be. I did have some wonderful students, one of which, coincidentally, is now the young lady who's working with me Jennifer Couples. She was a freshman in the Gibson County Band when I was there.
So what was the transition to Westview High School?
The next summer, luckily enough, Westview High School's band director job came back open.
Mm-hmm.
I called the principal and I said, I know I was stupid and not coming to you last year, but would you still have me? And he said, you're hired.
Who was this?
That was David Heath.
Mm-hmm. So you have been with, 3 principals, maybe 4 now, is that right? Maybe 5? I was trying to remember.
David Heath. I'm on my 5th principal.
Okay. Every one of them kind of stepped back and let you do your magic, or?
Fortunately, the principals at Westview High School have trusted me, and they know that I should know what I'm doing after all these years. And, of course, I let them know what I'm doing, but they trust me to do my job, and they sort of leave me alone.
What's the biggest hurdle you've had to overcome as a band director?
COVID.
Mm-hmm. How did that affect the band?
It's hard to get a group of kids together when you can't get them together and make music. When we came back from COVID, we had clear plexiglass shields between every student. Had to have students spaced out 6 feet.
That was a different sound, wasn't it?
It was a completely different sound. You're right about that. It made things a little different, and of course, when you're playing in an ensemble, kids need to hear each other just as much as the audience and the director need to hear them, and it's because they rely on that group setting and that group feedback to know how they're doing.
If you've just joined us, Mike Tucker is our guest. He is the Westview High School band director, great educator. He loves what he does, but he tells us that he is going to give it up here at the end of this coming school year. So the follow-up of that question is, how much does it cost if you were to start fresh, brand new school, and you were going to have to buy either used or new instruments? And I don't know what the size of the band would be. Medium-sized school, let's just say, how much money would it cost to buy those instruments?
Well, Paul, music, unfortunately, is a very expensive item. Anything dealing with music, I don't care if you're instruments or hardware like music stands, buying sheet music itself, anything dealing with music is greatly expensive. We're fortunate that we have at Westview and at Dresden now support from our school board. But to start a program, you're probably, for example, I mentioned a music stand. To buy a music stand, you're looking at least $120 a piece. Probably to start a music program, you're probably looking at $250,000 to start it out right.
So smaller schools don't usually have a band. I mean, that's pretty much, we have Greenfield, we have Gleason, we have Sharon, you have Dresden that is continuing to bring a band forward. And if I look around, there just aren't many schools that still have music unless they're maybe in the AA classification of high school.
Yeah, unfortunately, band programs have been dwindling because of participation, because of funding. I'm really, really excited about the fact that Dresden is resurrecting their band program, and that once again, that support from our school board has played a big part in that. Dresden resurrecting their program is the first program that has been resurrected in a long, long time in Tennessee, and we're really excited about the opportunities that the students are going to have there. And it just, as I said earlier, band programs take a lot of money.
Let me kind of sidebar this here for just a moment. When you started your program, what did you have to do to begin this program at Westview High School for Mike Tucker to say this is the footprint I want to put here?
Well, there was a program here at Westview when I came. There's been a rich history of good quality band directors that have taught here.
Westview and Martin High School.
Yes, Westview and Martin High School. A large, rich history. When I came here, there were a few little problems because I came here. The two previous directors had only been here 1 year apiece, and the program at Westview was in a sort of a rebuilding state. It wasn't a bad program. The quality wasn't bad. It was just in a rebuilding state because of some problems that had happened earlier. When I say it's a rich heritage, Bonnie Herndon was band director here for 7 years. Alan Kenningham, several directors. Those are the two that pop off to my head right off the bat. So there's always been a tradition of a good band here at Westview High School and at the old Martin High School. And that all goes back. I talked about directors, but it goes back to the students. The students are what makes a program.
Tell me about your best moment at Westview High School.
Probably premiering a piece of concert music that was written for the memory of the band director at Trenton Rosenwald Middle School, Lee Boyce. We premiered that piece at Concert Festival in the spring. The piece was entitled Crystal Fountain. And when we finished that piece, we were all just very emotional and wrapped up into it. By the time I finished conducting that piece with the kids, I was in tears. I mean, it was truly an emotional piece because, Paul, music paints a mental picture, and that was probably my largest emotional moment as I've been here.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me jump in here, and I won't ask you for names unless you want to share with us, but you've had a number of incredible students that have given their life, if you want to Westview High School band, and then they moved on to the collegiate band, whichever it may happen to be, and then now they're probably being just like you, Mike Tucker.
Well, through my years of teaching, I've been very fortunate to have wonderful kids to work with. I want to take a sidebar from that. I personally feel that every kid wants to learn. Every kid wants to excel. I've been very, very fortunate to have wonderful kids to work with throughout all the years. Right off the top of my head, I noticed it when I came in. One of your co-workers, Katie Capua, she's one of my former students. Her brother, Daniel Capua, is now the brand new band director at McKenzie High School. Another former student, River Stoltz, is the band director in his second year at Camden High School. And we've had many students who've gone on to play professionally. And taking that a step further, our kids, when they come out of our program, we want them to be well-rounded, not just in music, but in life in general, excel in everything they do. We've had everything from doctors to lawyers to research scientists. The list could go on and on. I mean, like I said, we want our kids to come out of our program with a philosophy of life that I'm going to be the best that I can be. I mean, because they're with us for 7 years. Because we start them in the 6th grade, and if they stay through the program and graduate, there's 7 years of their life that they've dedicated to their craft and music, and we try to push other lessons along the way.
Take this as a compliment, Mr. Tucker. You are a drill sergeant when it comes to making those kids perform to their very best, to walk the very best, to be able to show the very best, particularly when you've got 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 people in front of you. You want those kids to be their very best. Now, would it be fair to say that you were kind of a guy who demands perfection every single note?
I don't know if if I demand perfection. You know, my teaching philosophy is I want the kids to be better today than they were yesterday. Better today than they were a week ago, than they were a month ago, than they were a year ago. No one's ever perfect. But we try to get our students to reach down and pull whatever they've got to pull out of their heart and soul to try to be the best that they can be. I mean, that goes along with what I was just saying, a philosophy of life, to be better, to work harder, to be the best that you can be.
You know, I got to ask this. How about family? How about moms and dads, their involvement into their student who is your student at Westview High School?
I like to think of band at Westview High School as a family affair.
It seems that way because, I'll tell you what, band mamas and band daddies, they're there helping.
There is no way in the world that I and the directors that work with me could do everything. I mean, when we go to football games, when we go to marching competitions, parades, concert festivals, it's all hands on board. And we like our parents to become involved, not just for the work aspect of it, but we like for them to be involved, to see what their kids are doing. Because a lot of, I wonder sometimes if parents lose out by not seeing what their kids are doing nowadays. I mean, it's a family affair, even from the little younger siblings to parents. We've even had grandparents participating. As a matter of fact, we still have several parents who still come and help, even though their children graduated 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Tell me about your family. You mentioned your mother and father and siblings and so forth, but now you're married and you've been married for a long time and you have family in this. So how tough is that to be? I mean, I don't know when you folks aren't practicing. It just seems like band goes around 12 months.
We stay busy. Fortunately, I have a very, very patient and loving wife, Rhonda, and she's very patient with me. And she's very, very supportive. She acts in the capacity of band nurse, helps out. She loves the kids as much as I do. And she, you know, when they're successful, she's proud and chest busting open wide. When they're hurting, she hurts with them. And it's matter of fact, when she and I talked about retirement, she next school year is going to be my 49th teaching, and she says, "What?" When we talked about my retirement, she said, "I just have to go 50. I couldn't take it. I would have to make it 50." And I said, "Well, it's time. It's time."
You weren't working on a number of 50. You were working on you.
Yes. Yes. And it's...
How did you know it was time to say, this is my last year?
Well, I just... Fortunately, I have a very, very capable group of people that are working with me now. Jennifer Couples, Catherine Moore, and they're going to do an outstanding job continuing what I have been doing. I mentioned how I had taught Jennifer when she was a freshman in high school. As oddly enough, she and I think a great deal alike, and we have the same philosophy. It's about the kids. That's our number one philosophy. And you ask about my parents. I had very loving parents growing up. They're both passed away now. And they pursued my career. I mean, they pushed my career along. They pushed me through school. Originally, I was not going to be a band director. I was all about playing my drums. And I was going to go out to Las Vegas or Los Angeles and pursue a playing career. My mom says, all right, that's all well and good, but let's have a backup plan. And got into music education in college and found that was my true love.
So you didn't go to Vegas and you didn't go to California. You missed that opportunity. Well, you still have time now. I mean, realize that you can still play the drums, can't you?
Oh, yes. And I enjoy playing the drums.
Yeah. So do you sit in your bedroom and go through, whatever it is you're thinking about playing? Or do you do it at the office?
At the office mostly. I mean, a good song with a good beat comes on.
You got a trap set at the house?
No, I have one at the school that I can play on. I can, I'll be tapping along and playing. It's a drummer thing. You're always patting and beating on something if something really catches your attention.
Okay, we've talked about band a lot here, but what about color guard? I mean, these are the people that have the flags, and these are the people that add the pageantry to the halftime of the football game.
Well, our color guard is, as you said, is something that adds color, for lack of a better word, impact when you're twirling a flag or twirling a rifle.
Is twirling, by the way, is twirling a baton a band thing or not?
It depends on what part of the country you're in.
Okay.
Majorettes have sort of fallen by the wayside. There were, in my early couple of years here, we had some majorettes. As I said, it depends on what part of the country you're in. In Alabama, majorettes are a big thing. Tennessee, they are not. And it's, but the color guard is, for lack of a better term, they at one time they were called band auxiliary, and they were there to show highlights of the music and emotion of the music. So they were giving a little bit of a visual for what we're doing. Our color guard members do not play instruments. Now, many schools, when the band
require it.
Well, many schools require it, but these are larger band programs. Mm-hmm. And so our color guard students, before they join the color guard, have basically no musical training. So that's something that we have to teach them along the way of learning how to twirl a flag.
There's a difference between the concert band and, of course, the marching band.
Concert band is where we do the majority of our teaching of musical skills and musical emotion. Marching band is, yes, you're playing music, but it's not quite as detailed oriented as marching band. Don't get me wrong; the quality still is required to have a good marching band music. But the concert programs are where we really stress nuances of music. I mean, I tell my middle school students, you give me enough bananas and enough time, I can teach a gorilla to play an instrument. But he would never be able to make music. So we spend our concert seasons when we do the majority of our teaching of actual music skills. And fortunately, our students have got to the point in their life that they love concert band because they like painting that musical picture. They like hearing these things that pull emotion out of you.
Just got a few minutes remaining here with our program with Mike Tucker, the Westview High School band director. Okay, can you tell us what the theme is going to be here for 2024?
The theme for this year's field show is Jedi Steps, The Force Awakens, which comes from Episode 7 in the Star Wars series. Of course, you're going to hear the main Star Wars theme, but there's a lot of themes that were included in that movie that are really good. Of course, it was written by John Williams, which is a personal favorite composer of mine of film music. Got some really nice stuff going on, and it marching band. I'm not going to get on my soapbox and talk about status of marching band in our current world, but our marching band philosophy is that, one, does it educate our students? Two, is it going to be entertaining to our audiences? And three, could it be competitive? Because we do go to competitions.
What's the biggest competition award that Westview High School has received in your tenure?
We've gotten numerous first place trophies in not just overall band, but in drum major, percussion, color guard. We've also gotten lots of best of class awards, and that. What's
the one that's been most satisfying to you?
Oh, I couldn't put my finger on that. Most satisfying, hopefully, will be this year.
Okay. Let's leave it right there.
Okay.
Let's leave it right there. What is it? And I think this may be the best of the things that people would like to know. How do I know if my child wants to be a musician, wants to be in a band? And what do you tell your parents of these students?
I tried to let my students know at the very beginning of the 6th grade year that they are in good hands, that they are doing a good thing by trusting their children with us. Certainly, yes, they're going to learn how to play an instrument, but they're also going to learn about life, how to live, how to be a good person, how to value others, the lessons that, I could go on, just a good, well-rounded person for the future. And it's our world. I don't want to sound like the grumpy old man. Our world is gone topsy-turvy since COVID, unfortunately, in my personal opinion. But kids knowing that, one, they have the potential of being great. Two, that they have value. Three, that I could go on. We have rules for life in band. And that's a whole nother subject. But parents knowing that their kids are safe with us and that we're going to try to help them grow to be the best people that they can possibly be. Not just on an instrument, but just the best person that they can possibly be.
Let me, on behalf of this community and our radio audience, I want to say thank you for being the band director for 34 years at Westview High School, and also for the life that you have lived so that they can see what this is all about. And it's clear to me that you, your wife, and your associates, educators inside the school, they are very, very proud of what you have done at Westview High School for these many, many years. And if we were to bring back all of your band members, we'd have a big, big party for you, Coach Mike Tucker.
You're right.
I got to go. I hope you've enjoyed our program, everybody. Mike Tucker, Westview High School band director. We've got a lot of good things ahead with Mr. Tucker, and we hope that you'll be able to spend some time coming to the Westview High School football games and watching the band, or maybe the concert band during the wintertime. It's a great opportunity. Thank you so much for giving this a few minutes, but thanks so much for giving us, you and your wife, and your time to all of these students. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
That's our program today. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this week's 30 Minutes program. Paul Tinkle, pre-recorded here on Thunderbolt Radio.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.